Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be talking about the Desert Soul Sorcerer from Griffon's Saddlebag Book 2,
Yes.
which you can get access to by pre-ordering today. Link in the description down below. If you're new to the channel, what we're going to do is go through all the abilities gained in the subclass.
That's
We're going
right.
to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on the abilities gained in the subclass, how they improve on the base class abilities.
Yep.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway. All that out of the way, let's just jump straight into it. Sorcerer, Alex, what do we get?
I couldn't help but think when we did Desert Soul Sorcerer of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you've got like the airbenders with the moving the sand around. I think they're technically earthbenders because it's sand.
The sandbenders, yes.
But they're sandbenders. It's all I could think about when I saw both the artwork and knew what this was about. It's like immediate leap. Just raft sailing over top of
Some of that.
Sorry,
Some feel for it.
couldn't help it. It's the first thing I thought of as a reference to kind of what this does, because there's parts of that info around in here. Starting off at level 1, we have Dune Treader, and you can ignore difficult terrain created by sand specifically, and you can tolerate temperatures as high as 150 degrees Fahrenheit without any additional protection. So extremely specific to the environment where this is based on. I mean, flavor-wise makes sense, but it's very restrictive. Also, level 1, we have Sandstorm, your main ability this is built around. When you cast a spell of first level or higher on your turn, you can use a bonus action to create the storm in a 5-foot cube in a space you can see within 30 feet of you. A large or smaller creature in the area must succeed on a strength saving throw against your sorcerer spell save DC. Creature that fails the saving throw is pushed up to 10 feet in a direction of your choice if it's medium or smaller, or 5 feet if it's a large size creature. When you reach 6th level in the class, creature that fails a saving throw also takes either 1d8 bludgeoning damage or 1d8 fire damage, your choice. Damage increases when you reach certain levels in this class to 2d8 at level 14 and 3d8 at level 18.
Alright, nice. At level 6, we get Mirage. You learn the Mirror Image spell. Always appreciate learning spells for free as a sorcerer.
Especially
if
as
you
a sorcerer.
already know the spell as well, you learn a different sorcery spell of your choice. Fantastic. Spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. You can cast it by spending 2 sorcery points or by expending a spell slot. If you cast it with sorcery points, any creature within 10 feet of you that destroys one of the spell's illusions takes fire damage equal to half your sorcery level as the illusion bursts into a wave of scalding air and sand. So a little bit of retribution damage on there.
Level 14, we have Desert Nomad. Immediately after a creature is pushed by your Sandstorm feature from level 1, you can spend 2 sorcery points to teleport to the storm's space. You use teleport in this way if you create the storm in a space that is unoccupied as well. When you teleport in this way, you and any equipment you are wearing or carrying are invisible until the end of your turn.
Before we get on to the capstone ability here, give a quick shout out to our other sponsor today, Humblewood Tales from Hit Point Press.
Yes.
This is a expansion to the Humblewood setting. Also, you got 5 new adventures, pre-made characters.
And they're lower level adventures, level 3 to 8. Great opportunity if you're having somebody who is not comfortable with doing a full major sized campaign as a DM. A great way for them to dip their toe into DMing, kind of having everything kind of planned out for them.
Yeah.
Just kind of work themselves through the process. Or if you just want to break away from the traditional norms of D&D, it's a great opportunity either way.
Don't miss out on this one, guys. Check out the link down below. All that out of the way, let's get to the capstone, which is Sand Form at level 18. You can expend 5 sorcery points as a bonus action to magically transform yourself into a sand-like form. In this form, you have the following benefits. You can't be grappled. You and any equipment you are wearing or carrying can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing. You can move through the space of any creature regardless of its size, and difficult terrain doesn't cost you extra movement. In addition, when an attacker that you see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to turn to sand. Until the end of your turn, you have resistance to all damage, including against the triggering attack. You remain in this form for 1 minute. It ends early if you are incapacitated, if you die, or if you dismiss it as a bonus action. So a nice little way to transform and get some utility and defensive capabilities. Those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. We'll just move straight on into the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always. Talking about roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. Can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass, how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios. So, all that being said on here, you have some interesting options. As Alex said off the first ability here, the difficult terrain ignoring for sand is
specifically
incredibly specific and pretty niche. Again, too, with the temperature.
Yep.
I mean, you basically just have to be in a desert to benefit from both of those things at the same time.
Yep. Unless it's just the hottest beach known to mankind.
Right.
Like,
but the beach, sand. Beach.
Yeah.
But, and the other thing, too, is, like, for those weather people, desert does not necessarily mean sand and hot. It can mean cold, bitter cold.
Yes.
Also.
That's right.
That is the thing, but that does not matter for the subclass. So, that being said,
it is called the Desert Soul, so it's like there's some misleading things. We're being difficult at that point.
The Sandstorm has some RP early on, but then once it starts dealing damage as you get higher level at 6, it becomes a little bit more on the niche side, because when you deal damage, you're kind of like towing that line of trying to engage in combat. So if you're just pushing stuff around or whatever, it's not necessarily super aggressive, but you can maybe get away with a little bit more than you're starting to hurt someone when you push them as well. So it kind of has some niche RP use on there as well. You do get that short free teleport to use when you cast a spell, but you have to cast a spell on top of that.
Yeah, and spend sorcery points to activate it too.
Right, so it does have quite an expensive cost on there. And the capstone definitely has some RP, but it's more on the expensive side. So
to be used for RP purposes. Yeah.
So all that being said, there's some interesting options, but the majority of the things are pretty niche.
Yeah.
So we just went with a 2.5 out of 5. When they are very useful, if you're in a setting that's gonna, be taking place in the desert, then
you're begging your DM to
give
us any reason to go into some roasty hot desert for a few sessions so I can be useful.
Right. But in the general broad overview, just in the broad scheme of things, probably going to be mostly niche on the RP stuff.
Yep. The combat side of things doesn't change much in terms of that, again, because of the way things are flavored. Anything that's kind of niche and what it gives you in RP is going to be limited to that same sides of combat as well. Because, again, difficult terrain in sand for combat purposes. You've got to be in sand for difficult terrain to be created by that.
Outside of the capstone, but that's level 18.
Right. And then you're just avoiding the negative effects of extremely high temperatures, how that could affect combat. Again, you've got to be in territories where that matters. Your level 1 Sandstorm ability definitely has purposes because you can push stuff away from you and toward allies. Especially because both situations are helpful. And pushing things away from a squishy self is good. Pushing them toward the barbarian that wants to eat them, also good. The fact that it does scale up to adding some damage is good. It's not just it's not just a pushing thing throughout the entire of your leveling process, but there is the wonderful drawback of it being bludgeoning damage or fire damage. At least there is a choice,
right?
But it's still not great damage types.
Yeah,
a lot of things are going to resist that damage, so it just becomes a little bit of an extra thing as part of it. The good thing is there's not any other restrictions as to how often you do it. Just takes your bonus action to do it, but it gives you a use for your bonus action besides just your sorcery points.
Yeah.
Or what few bonus action spells you may have. Mirage, on the other hand, for me, personal preference, this is the best part about the subclass, is you're giving yourself an extra spell, which is a good defensive spell to start with. You're getting it for free. Sorcerer's by far biggest weakness is spells known. They're very limited to the number of spells you can know to cast. Their whole bit is, you're not a wizard where you know 4,000 spells. You get to screw with your spells a lot by multi-targeting them, making them last longer and further away and all that jazz. So the fact that you can straight up cast it with 2 sorcery points without expending the spell slot is good, and it also buffs the mirror images themselves to do damage when they are hit. So there's nothing too crazy, but there's some extra damage and buff put on top of that. Your Desert Nomad ability, the chance where you can teleport gives you some extra movement to get yourself out of trouble primarily. You're not a barbarian, you're trying to run something down, or a paladin, you're trying to get away from trouble most of the time. So it gives you an option to get a little mini Misty Step kind of thing without having to full on cast the spell, just by using the 2 sorcery points. And of course, finally, your capstone. Again, bonus action activates, so good. 5 sorcery points is a little expensive, but not too crazy for what it gives you. Not being able to be grappled is great because some big dude tries to grab you and hold on to you. He can't, which is good. Being able to squeeze through spaces if you are fighting around any kind of structures, you can kind of
Always shenanigans.
Yeah, you can tuck yourself inside there, like, and come right back out and fire off your spell, then shoot, you sink right back through some wall, get a little crack in there. That's great. And then again, the bigger part of it for me in terms of combat is going to be the final bit of you can use your reaction to gain resistance to all damage, including the triggering attack. And that part is the best part, again, because you are a sorcerer and you don't know what health is. What little you have is gone immediately.
It's kind of just like a buffed uncanny dodge, because it's not just the one attack until the end of the turn. So if they have multi-attack and you do it in the first attack, you give resistance to all.
And if you're smart, you'll know if you get hit by one thing. Oh, he's supposed to hit you a second time. So noted. Moving forward, if he comes at me again, I'm going to be resisting that next time. So there is some options, and there's some things to help you with survivability, some free spells, but some of it is limited in terms of the terrain, the environment, and how impactful I think a lot of this is. We end up going with a 3.5 out of a possible 5 flumps for the combat side.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things holding it back a little bit is there's a lot of, I would say, cost associated. So if you want to get to the teleport, you have to first cast a spell to get the bonus action to do the sandstorm.
Right.
If you do the sandstorm, you have to choose, do I want to teleport or do I want to damage? Because if you damage someone, you're not going to want to teleport right next to them as a sorcerer. So you're probably going to either choose to try to damage them or to get away. Right. Which I feel like as you get higher level, getting away is probably worth more than a little bit of damage.
Yeah, unless whatever you're hitting has no intentions of coming at you immediately, then you'll take the extra damage. But.
Right. But in that circumstance, you're using at least a first level spell, your bonus action, and 2 sorcery points to do all of that.
Correct.
So that is pretty expensive. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you do that 3, 4, 5 times.
It's going to add up over time. So you're
eat through your sorcery and spell slots pretty quickly.
Yep.
So it is nice. There's some nicheness on there, and I'll just kind of transition into the synergy with that. Is you do get some options for your sorcery points, which is always welcome. Some additional ways to spend them, some utility with movement and things like that. The mirror image again is great, and the fact that if you already know it, you can learn another spell for free, which probably makes it you even want to learn it beforehand.
Yeah.
So you can, pick whatever spell you want later on. Maybe as you see the campaign
that's
go on,
something that I don't know why more subclasses don't have that exact text in there with whether it's a language you get, a resistance you get, a spell you get. Like if you already know this because of something else, you can get a choice of something else. That should be a default thing. Anytime you're given a free something, you should be able to pick an alternative.
Right. Sometimes there can be some restrictions and reasons as to why, and that isn't the case. But most of the time,
the grand majority of time, it shouldn't matter.
That being said, this is one of, we kind of mentioned this before, there's different kinds of subclasses. This one kind of skews more on the defensive side.
It does, yeah.
You have the option to do a little bit of bludgeoning or fire damage, but again, those are some of the most resisted damage types in 5th edition, so not crazy about that. And also, the damage from the mirror image is also fire damage. So you're getting the mirror image spell, you're getting the ability to fake Misty Step, like a pseudo Misty Step. And then you have your capstone as well, which is going to give you the uncanny dodge, the difficult terrain stuff, the squeezing through stuff, not being able to be grappled. Lots of utility on the defensive side, and lots of uses for sorcery points. So we went with a 4.5 on the synergy. There's lots of synergy going on, and a lot of the stuff on here, though it can be a little bit expensive, on one end, it's giving you more options to spend your stuff with, and of course giving you actually quite a bit of survivability, which as a sorcerer, you're never going to be upset about.
I think it's one of those things where if you use this correctly and in its ideal form, the way it's designed, it's going to help you stay alive a whole lot more than you think it will. Because you've got, besides resistance choices later on, you've got ways to push things away from you, again, to push them towards allies. You can then hit them more efficiently, or teleport yourself out of trouble. So there's multiple different ways. The only real drawback, like Jameson said, is because of the amount of things that are on here that can cost sorcery points, is the cost can add up, so it may limit you to how many of your sorcerer point base things you're trying to do. But again, you've got choices thereof, and there's no such thing as too many choices when it comes to how you can spend resources.
And you picked a spellcaster, so you're probably okay with choices.
That's right.
So all that being said, guys, really thematic subclass on here.
Absolutely.
Another one from Griffon Saddlebag. We have 2 more left in the book. They're definitely very interesting, so stay tuned for those. If you want to get access again to these, make sure you pre-order the book today. Link down below for all that stuff. And of course, thank you again to Humblewood Tales, Hit Point Press. Awesome setting. high quality stuff. We covered the first box set from Humblewood. So if you want to see some of the get an idea,
there's just so much stuff in there.
Right. If you want to get an idea for the kind of stuff that's going to be in here for the setting and things like that, maybe it'd be worth checking out those videos.
And the quality of the products in there too.
Definitely.
Like the spell cards, everything from the plushie to the spell cards to the maps and everything that's in there.
Yeah. So we try to pick stuff that we are glad and proud to work with. So you guys aren't going to be disappointed whenever we suggest something. So definitely worth your time to at least take a look at. Make sure you use the links down below. It helps us out, and we can keep doing more stuff and bring you guys more content and all that.
Which we enjoy doing.
So thank you all for supporting us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.